There's a task sitting somewhere in your life right now. You know exactly what it is. It is not hard. It would probably take less than an hour, and you have been not doing it for days, maybe weeks. You have thought about it constantly. You have told yourself you will do it tomorrow at least a dozen times. Tomorrow came. You didn't do it. And the strangest part is that you cannot explain why. Because the honest answer, the one your brain will not let you say out loud, is that nothing was stopping you. Nothing except you. This is not a productivity problem. This is not a time management problem. Neuroscientists have been studying this for decades, and what they found changes everything you think you know about why you keep postponing things. The answer has nothing to do with laziness. And the part that should make you deeply uncomfortable is that your brain is doing this on purpose. In the 1990s, researchers assumed procrastination was a failure of self-discipline, a character flaw, the kind of thing that happened to weak-willed people who simply needed to try harder. They were wrong. In 2007, psychologist Piers Steele at the University of Calgary published a comprehensive analysis of every procrastination study conducted over the previous 30 years. He found that procrastination had increased dramatically across the entire population over that period, not in isolated individuals, in everyone, everywhere, simultaneously. That pattern does not describe a character flaw. It describes a system responding to something in its environment. Steele found that procrastination has almost nothing to do with time management. People who procrastinate are not confused about when things are due. They know exactly when things are due. They are also not disorganized. Many chronic procrastinators are extraordinarily organized. They keep perfect lists of everything they are not doing. The problem is not awareness of the task. The problem is something that happens in the brain the moment the task becomes real. Here is what actually happens. Your brain has two systems running simultaneously at all times. One is the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain directly behind your forehead. This is the part that plans, reasons, and makes long-term decisions. It knows the deadline. It knows the consequences. It knows that starting right now would make everything easier. It is also the newest part of your brain in evolutionary terms, the part that makes you distinctly human. The second system is the amygdala. It sits deep in the brain, older than language, older than abstract thought. Its job is not to plan. Its job is to monitor threats. And here's the part nobody talks about. The amygdala cannot tell the difference between a physical threat and an emotional one. A lion crouching in the grass and an email you are afraid to send register in exactly the same place in exactly the same way. When a task carries emotional weight, the risk of failure, the possibility of judgment, the fear of not being good enough, the amygdala fires. It reads the task as a threat, and the moment it does, it hijacks the prefrontal cortex. The planning brain goes offline, the survival brain takes over, and the survival brain has one response to threats. Avoid them. This is what procrastination actually is. It is not laziness. It is your threat detection system misidentifying a task as a danger and pulling you away from it the same way it would pull you away from a predator. The avoidance feels like relief because it is relief. You are not failing to be productive. You are successfully escaping a perceived threat. Your brain is doing exactly what it was designed to do, in the wrong context. But here is where it gets stranger. In 2011, neuroscientists at UCLA and Dartmouth ran a series of experiments on how people mentally represent their future selves. They put participants in an fMRI scanner and showed them photographs of themselves, photographs of strangers, and photographs of what they imagined they would look like in 10 years. The results were disturbing. When participants thought about their future selves, the brain regions that activated were not the same regions that activated when thinking about their present selves. They were the same regions that activated when thinking about strangers. Your brain does not experience your future self as you. It experiences your future self as someone else entirely. A stranger. Someone you have never met. Think about what that means for procrastination. When you push a task to tomorrow, you are not deciding to deal with it later. You are handing it to a stranger and walking away. The effort, the stress, the discomfort, all of it goes to someone who is technically you but whom your brain treats as a completely different person. And it is extraordinarily easy to burden a stranger with things you do not want to carry yourself. The further away the deadline, the more clearly your brain sees the future version of you as someone else. This is why tasks feel manageable when they are distant and overwhelming when they are close. It is not the task that changed, it is how personally your brain is experiencing who has to do it. Stop and sit with that for a moment. You have not been procrastinating because you are undisciplined. You have been procrastinating because your brain cannot feel the future. It cannot feel the consequences in the same way it can feel the discomfort of starting right now. The present is vivid. The future is theoretical. And the brain will always choose vivid discomfort avoidance over theoretical benefit. Now, here's the layer that makes this impossible to solve with a calendar app. Every time you avoid a task, your brain releases a small amount of dopamine, the same neurotransmitter involved in pleasure, reward, and addiction. The relief of avoidance is not just psychological, it is chemical. Your brain is being rewarded for procrastinating, and rewarded behavior repeats. But it gets worse. The thing you are avoiding to get that dopamine hit is usually something that would also produce dopamine. Finishing a project, completing a goal, making progress on something that matters. Procrastination does not just delay the reward, it replaces it with a cheaper, faster, easier version of the same chemical. Your brain is not broken. It is choosing the quicker dopamine source the same way it would choose fast food over a meal you have to cook. The notifications, the videos, the scroll, all of it delivers the same chemical signal in a fraction of the time. Your brain did not develop procrastination in the modern era, but the modern era handed it an infinite supply of faster alternatives to whatever you were supposed to be doing. And this is the part that nobody wants to hear. Knowing this does not fix it. Understanding that procrastination is an emotion regulation problem, that your amygdala is misidentifying tasks as threats, that your future self is a stranger your brain has never met. Knowing all of this does not make the task feel less threatening. It does not make starting feel easier. The knowledge sits in your prefrontal cortex. The resistance sits somewhere older and faster and harder to reach. Researchers who study this have found that the single most effective intervention is not motivation. It is not discipline. It is not a better system. It is making the task feel emotionally safe. Not easier. Not more appealing. Safe. Reducing the perceived threat so the amygdala does not need to fire. A task that cannot hurt you does not need to be avoided. But most people spend their entire lives trying to outthink a system that does not speak the language of logic. They make better lists. They set more alarms. They read more articles about productivity. And the amygdala keeps firing. And the future self keeps being handed the weight. And tomorrow keeps arriving without the task done. There is a task sitting somewhere in your life right now. You know exactly what it is. Your brain knows exactly what it is. It has been watching you think about it. It has been generating the resistance you feel every time you get close to starting. It is not punishing you. It is protecting you from something it decided was dangerous a long time ago. The only question is whether you still agree with that decision.